Everyone in the conference room froze the moment it happened. The cameras were rolling, the investors were watching, and the air felt like it stopped moving. When the white CEO, Victoria Hale, pulled her hand back and refused to shake hands with the old black investor standing before her, a silence heavier than shame filled the room. The old man didn't argue. He simply nodded, placed his trembling hand back by his side, and whispered something no one could hear. But the next day, the world found out who he really was. And by then, Victoria was on her knees, begging for a chance she never imagined she would need. This is the story of pride, prejudice, and the moment life flipped upside down in a single heartbeat. Victoria Hale was known as the youngest CEO in her industry, sharp-tongued, ambitious, ruthless, and painfully proud of her rise. She believed she had built her empire alone, brick by brick, and anyone who didn't fit her polished image was nothing but a distraction. That morning, her company hosted an important investment meeting. Journalists, entrepreneurs, and big investors filled the glass-walled hall, buzzing with excitement. Among them walked in a man with slow, steady steps, an elderly black man named Samuel Wright. His clothes were simple, his shoes worn from years of walking, and his smile gentle. Victoria noticed him approaching, and her expression changed. She was mid-conversation with a wealthy European partner when she saw Samuel extending his hand respectfully toward her. Cameras turned. Everyone watched. But Victoria, without hesitation, pulled her hand back. The disgust in her eyes wasn't hidden, it was sharp and public. "I'm sorry. I don't shake hands with just anyone," she said with a smug half-smile. The room went dead silent. Samuel's eyes softened, not with anger, but with a sadness that came from decades of witnessing the same disrespect. He lowered his hand and nodded politely. "I understand, Ms. Hale. Sometimes, the world hides the truth until the right moment." Victoria didn't understand what he meant. She simply turned away, dismissing him like he was invisible. The meeting continued, but something strange began happening. One investor whispered into another's ear. A reporter raised her eyebrow and scribbled urgently into her notebook. People began recognizing Samuel's face not as a poor old man, but as someone far more significant. Victoria was too buried in her ego to notice the tension forming around her. Samuel quietly took a seat in the back of the room, watching, listening, smiling at small things. When others asked him questions, he replied gently, almost as if he wasn't bothered by what happened. But deep inside, he felt the familiar sting, the sting of being judged by skin tone, by age, by appearance, by assumptions. After the event, Victoria celebrated. She thought she had impressed every important investor in the room. She laughed loudly with her team, never once realizing that everyone went home talking about one thing only, her refusal. That night, social media exploded. Someone had filmed the entire moment. The video wasn't just viral, it was wildfire. "Racist CEO humiliates elderly investor" was the headline everywhere. But that wasn't even the real shock. People discovered who Samuel Wright really was. The quiet old man was the founder of Wright Industries, a trillion-dollar global company. He was one of the biggest silent investors in the tech world. He was known for transforming young entrepreneurs into giants. And he had quietly attended the event to donate $250 million to a company he believed deserved a chance. But now, everything had changed. Victoria found out the truth the next morning when her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Her board members demanded answers. Her staff couldn't even look her in the eye. The internet had turned her into a villain overnight. But the biggest blow came when Samuel Wright officially announced that he would make a public appearance the next day to clarify the truth. Victoria's world was collapsing, and she still had no idea just how broken it was about to become. The next day, the hall was packed again, but this time, all the cameras were pointed at Samuel. Journalists waited, investors shifted in their seats, and Victoria stood backstage trembling, something she had never experienced before. Her marketing team begged her to apologize before the conference started, but Victoria's pride fought back. Finally, with shaking hands, she agreed. When Samuel stepped on stage, the room erupted in applause, not because he was rich, but because he was respected. He looked calm, wise, almost glowing with kindness. Victoria stepped forward, her voice barely steady as she approached him. "Mr. Wright, I want to apologize for yesterday," she said, lowering her head. The cameras zoomed in. The world watched. Samuel didn't reply immediately. He simply looked at her, not with anger, but with a deep disappointment that was more powerful than rage. "Miss Hale," he finally spoke, "yesterday you refused to shake the hand of a man you didn't know. Not because of my actions, but because of what I look like." Victoria swallowed hard, feeling her chest tighten as Samuel continued, "Success is not measured by the height of a building or the width of your bank account. It is measured by how small you remain even when the world calls you big." His words silenced the room. Suddenly, Victoria's knees gave out. She fell to the floor, tears filling her eyes. The world watched as the mighty CEO broke down. "Please, please forgive me," she cried. "I was wrong. I judged you. I disrespected you. I let my arrogance blind me. Please give me another chance." Samuel stepped closer and gently helped her to her feet. "I am not here to punish you," he said softly. "I am here to remind you that no one is beneath a handshake." Then Samuel turned to the audience. "I will not withdraw my investment," he announced. Gasps filled the room. "But on one condition." Everyone leaned forward. "Victoria Hale must attend our community center for 2 months, working, speaking, learning, and listening to those who fight every day without privilege." Victoria nodded instantly, overwhelmed with relief. "I'll do it. I promise." Samuel smiled. "Good. Because true leadership begins the moment your pride ends." The story spread across the world. And for the first time in her life, Victoria learned compassion, humility, and respect not from books or boardrooms, but from people she once never noticed. And Samuel Wright? He didn't just change a company. He changed a heart.